The sterling silverware clinked against fine china as my father, Dr. James Mitchell, held court at our weekly family dinner. 25 years as chief of surgery had given him an authority that dominated every room, especially this formal dining room where he'd crushed dreams for decades. And then, he continued his story, I told the young resident to find another profession. Not everyone is cut out for real medicine. My sister Sarah, following his footsteps as a surgeon, laughed appreciatively. You always know best, Dad. I pushed my untouched food around my plate, my phone silently collecting messages in my blazer pocket. The AI medical diagnostic system I'd developed was about to be announced, but here I sat, enduring another evening of carefully crafted disapproval. Speaking of proper medicine, Mom chimed in, Amanda darling, isn't it time you reconsidered your computer hobby? It's not a hobby, Mom. I'm developing advanced medical diagnostic systems. Dad's fork hit his plate with a sharp clink. Still playing doctor with your little apps? When will you accept that real medicine happens in hospitals, not behind screens? Sarah smirked. At least my patients are real, sis. They only knew. My phone buzzed again. Probably another update about tomorrow's medical board presentation. The largest hospital networks in the country had already signed contracts, including Dad's, though he didn't know it yet. I saw your old medical school classmate yesterday, Mom added. Dr. Porter? Her daughter's starting her residency next month. Such a shame you dropped out. I didn't drop out, I corrected quietly. I saw a different way to help patients. Help patients? Dad scoffed. By writing computer code? Do you know how many lives I've saved in the operating room while you've been playing with your keyboards? My phone vibrated persistently. Another message from my executive team. Final contracts signed. All major hospital networks confirmed. Press conference scheduled. Amanda's just afraid of real responsibility, Sarah added, reaching for her wine. It's easier to hide behind computers than face actual patients. The doorbell rang. Mom frowned. No one interrupted our family dinners. Dr. Mitchell? Our housekeeper appeared. The hospital board is here. They say it's urgent. Dad stood straightening his tie. Probably about tomorrow's meeting. They need my approval on the new diagnostic system implementation. I checked my watch. Right on schedule. Stay here, Dad commanded as he left. This is actual medical business. I could hear voices in the foyer growing increasingly animated. My phone lit up one final time. Board members in position. Contracts presented. Through the dining room's mahogany doors, fragments of conversation drifted in. Revolutionary system. Completely changes protocol. Already approved by FDA. Probably another overpriced tech solution, Sarah commented, sipping her wine. Remember that electronic record system that crashed last year? Dad had to save the day. Mom nodded proudly. Your father always says technology can't replace real medical expertise. My phone buzzed again. A message from Dr. Zhang at Mayo Clinic. Implementation exceeding expectations. Patient diagnosis time reduced by 73%. When can you train our next group? The voices in the foyer grew louder. But who developed this? Dad demanded. Why wasn't I consulted? Actually, I murmured, standing up, you were. 3 years ago. You said, and I quote, AI can't diagnose better than a trained physician. Sarah laughed. Please. What would you know about? The dining room doors burst open. Dad stood there, face flushed, clutching a familiar-looking contract. Behind him, the entire hospital board shifted nervously. Dr. Mitchell, the board chairman, started. About the new diagnostic system. Still playing doctor? Dad interrupted, staring at me. His phone rang, displaying the chief of surgery's number. I smoothed my blazer, feeling the weight of 5 years' work culminating in this moment. You should answer that, Dad. Your referrals are essential to the new system's implementation. The new system? Mom asked, confusion crossing her perfectly maintained features. I reached for my phone as it lit up with another message. Who confirmation received. Global implementation starts tomorrow. Yes, I replied, walking toward the foyer. My system. The one you all mocked as a computer hobby. I turned to face my family, years of dismissal fueling my next words. And Dad? You might want to take that call. The chief of surgery is probably wondering why you haven't approved my AI diagnostic protocol yet. The phone kept ringing as realization dawned on their faces. In the morning, every major medical publication would announce what my family had been too arrogant to see, that their disappointment had just revolutionized modern medicine. Dad's phone kept ringing as the board chairman, Dr. Peters, cleared his throat. Perhaps we should all sit down for this discussion. Back in the dining room, our usual seating arrangement felt different now. The family portraits on the walls, all featuring Sarah in her white coat or Dad receiving awards, seemed to watch with new interest. As I was explaining to Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Peters began, the MediAI diagnostic system has been approved for immediate implementation across all major hospitals in the country. MediAI? Sarah scoffed. That's the system everyone's talking about? The one that diagnosed that impossible case at Mass General. The same, I replied calmly. Along with 47,000 other impossible cases this year alone. Dad's phone finally stopped ringing. He stared at the contract in his hands. This can't be right. The developer, Dr. Amanda Mitchell, Dr. Peters finished. Your daughter has created the most significant advancement in diagnostic medicine since the MRI. Mom's wine glass froze halfway to her lips. But Amanda just plays with computers. Playing. I opened my laptop, displaying real-time data from hospitals worldwide. This play has reduced diagnostic errors by 89%. It's caught early-stage cancers that human doctors missed. It's saved lives in regions without access to specialists. Sarah leaned forward, her surgical confidence cracking. Those cases in the medical journal last month, the ones even Dad couldn't solve, were all diagnosed by my system, I confirmed. Along with providing treatment protocols that reduced recovery time by 60%. The board members nodded enthusiastically. The results are unprecedented, one added. Every major hospital is scrambling to implement it. Including yours, Dad, I said quietly. The contract you're holding? It's not asking for your approval. It's informing you that as chief of surgery, you'll need to complete the MediAI training program. Under my instruction. Dad's face reddened. You expect me to take lessons from the doctor who revolutionized medical diagnosis? Dr. Peters interrupted. Yes, absolutely. In fact, the board insists. My phone buzzed again. Dr. Mitchell, my assistant's voice came through the speaker. The WHO's Secretary General is requesting to move tomorrow's meeting earlier. And the Nobel Committee needs your availability for next month. Sarah's fork clattered onto her plate. Nobel Committee? Medicine is evolving. I stood up, addressing my family properly for the first time in years. While you were celebrating traditional success, I was building its future. That computer hobby you mocked? It's now worth $4.3 billion and saves thousands of lives daily. But you're not even a real doctor, Mom stammered. No, Dr. Peters interjected. She's something more. She's the doctor who's changing how every other doctor works. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the windows of my parents' living room, now transformed into an impromptu press center. CNN, Forbes, and major medical journals reporters waited as Dad sat stiffly in his chair, watching his world reshape itself. The implementation begins today, I explained to the assembled press, standing confidently in front of screens showing MediAI's global reach. Every major hospital will integrate our system, starting with Boston General. Dr. Mitchell, a reporter called out. Which Dr. Mitchell are we addressing? Dad started to stand, but I stepped forward. That would be me. Though my father, Dr. James Mitchell, will be one of our first senior surgeons to undergo the training program. The cameras swiveled to Dad, capturing his forced smile. Behind him, Sarah sat silently, still processing the morning's medical journal headlines. Mitchell's MediAI, the future of medicine, and youngest medical innovation pioneer transforms global healthcare. Dr. Amanda, another reporter asked, how does it feel to revolutionize a field that initially rejected you? Mom flinched in her seat, remembering her own words. Real doctors work in hospitals, dear. Innovation often faces resistance, I replied diplomatically. But medicine isn't about ego, it's about saving lives. MediAI has diagnosed over 50,000 cases that traditional methods missed. My phone buzzed. The WHO Secretary General's message flashed. Congratulations on the launch. Global implementation schedule confirmed. Speaking of implementation, I continued, I'm pleased to announce our first training center will be established right here at Boston General, where my father serves as chief of surgery. Dad's head snapped up. This was news to him. Dr. James Mitchell, a reporter called out, how does it feel to have your daughter revolutionize your field? The room fell silent. 5 years of dismissal, mockery, and condescension hung in the air. Dad cleared his throat. I'm learning that medicine evolves. Sometimes it takes a new perspective too. What my father means, Sarah suddenly interrupted, standing up, is that we were wrong. While we were celebrating traditional success, Amanda was building the future. Mom dabbed at her eyes with an embroidered handkerchief as the headlines kept rolling on the screens. MediAI valuation hits $4.3 billion, and Mitchell's system reduces diagnostic errors by 89%. After the press conference in the quiet of Dad's home office, he finally spoke directly to me. That case last month, the one I couldn't solve. Your patient survived because MediAI caught what everyone missed, I finished. That's why I created it, Dad. Not to replace doctors but to help them save more lives. I have to take lessons from my own daughter, he mused, looking at his wall of medical achievements. No, I corrected, you have to work with a colleague who sees medicine differently. The question is, are you ready to learn? Sarah appeared in the doorway holding a medical journal. I've been reviewing the cases MediAI solved. It's incredible, Amanda. Could you teach me too? For the first time, my sister looked at me without competition in her eyes, just professional respect. The first training session is tomorrow, I said, checking my phone. Both of you can attend. But remember, in that classroom I'm not your daughter or sister. I'm Dr. Mitchell, the one who changed medicine. Mom entered last, holding a dusty box. I found this in the attic. Your first computer. The one we told you to put away and focus on real medicine. I took the box, smiling. Keep it. Put it next to Dad's surgical awards. Let it remind you that innovation doesn't always wear a white coat. As I left for my next meeting, the Nobel Committee waited for no one. I heard Dad say quietly to Sarah, perhaps we should remove that real doctor sign from the study. The future of medicine had arrived, and it wore a business suit, carried a laptop, and bore the name they'd dismissed for years. Dr. Amanda Mitchell. The doctor who dared to redefine healing itself.